What is going on, you guys? With the NBA draft being tomorrow, I wanted to make a video and tell you about who I want the Sixers to target, some of the potential fits that I like, some of them that I don't. Now, last year, I was very adamant about my disdain for Ace Bailey and how I didn't want the Sixers to draft him. Now, granted, I won't take all the credit because I was a little hesitant about VJ Edgecombe, and I kind of thought about the Sixers, trading back and doing a bunch of things, whatever. But the one thing I knew, and that I was proven right about, I would say, now granted, we'll see how he does this in his second year, but I said that Ace Bailey is not very good. He's jump shot reliant. He can't get to his spots. He's not a great 3-point shooter. All that stuff proved to be well. He had a good last month of the season, but that's when it's Mickey Mouse March and nobody's really trying. So, who were the people that I like in this draft? Well, I'm not really going to mention the people that I like that don't really have a chance to fall to them. So the first guy I want to talk about is somebody who I didn't think would have a chance to fall to them, but now I'm reading that he might fall, and that's Yaxel Lendenberg. He's 23 years old. He's on Michigan. He's a little bit of an older prospect, but the reason I like him isn't because he's dominating younger people with his athleticism or whatever, even though he's a great athlete. It's just I think his skill set is perfect. He's the perfect connective athlete. He can shoot. He can drive. He can pass out of the short roll. Defensive monster. He's the type of player that would slot in perfect between Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, fit along their core, grow with them. I do think even though he falls, he will not make it to 22, but I do think he could be a trade-up candidate. The two realistic guys that I think could fall to them at 22 are Cameron Carr and Dalen Swain, and those are my top two guys. Now let's start with Cameron Carr. He, like VJ Edgecombe, is coming out of Baylor. He's 6'8". He's a good athlete. He's a wing. He shot very well from three. Not the greatest passer. Has to work on his defense, but he has good defensive tools. And I think that's just the type of guy that NBA teams are looking for. Guy that can dribble, pass, shoot at an okay rate. And I just think he would fit in really well with this team. We talk about this team, Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe. You want to even add to their athleticism, the things they could do, not even in the half court, but in the front court. It would be amazing watching them in transition. And I'm a big believer in his jump shot. He shot really well from three. I believe 37% on like 6 attempts per game. I could be wrong on that, but that's good for college. His finishing is good. He knows how to get to his spots, all that. So that would kind of be my second pick. My number one pick would be Dalen Swain, and he's from Texas, a transfer this year, relatively still young. The thing about Dalen Swain is he can get to anywhere he wants on the court. If I had to bet on one person like outside the top 10 of this draft being a star, it would be Dalen Swain. His isolation game is very advanced. His free throw rate, he gets to the line a ton. He knows how to get to his spots. He's a great slasher, high basketball IQ. The only thing is, and this is weird coming from me as the guy who's always like, you need to be able to learn how, you need to be able to shoot, blah, blah, blah. He shoots about 34% from three, and that's not good, but you look at 34% from three, and it's like, okay, it's workable. He needs to completely tweak his form. It's way too slow. So that's the only hesitancy I have with him. So those are my top two targets. Now let's get into the guys that I would be okay with but not thrilled about. Allen Graves is the power forward from Santa Clara. He's like the analytics darling, right? Like he gets all these assists. He turns the ball over very rarely. He shoots the ball pretty well for a big man. The only hesitancy with him is that he isn't a great athlete. And we see guys that aren't great athletes make great NBA players all the way from the stars like Nikola Jokic. I'm not saying he's Jokic, but even like role players like Jalen Williams on the Oklahoma City Thunder is a very good backup big. And, many people have compared to him. He just has great playmaking. I mean, he's like the higher end Draymond. If Draymond wasn't, I'm not even sure he's as good an athlete as prime Draymond was, but he's the type of guy that would just, if he hits, would just be perfect. A guy that can shoot the three, run pick and roll with Maxey and VJ, pass out of the roll, can push the ball ahead in transition. You worry about his defense because of the lack of athleticism, but at 22 in the draft, you hope to take him. Another guy that I would like, that I don't see a ton of people talking about or even mocking to the Sixers, is Henry Vasar. He's a transfer from Arizona to UNC this year. This guy is one of the best shooting big men in the class. He's probably the best shooting big man in the class. He shot 42% from three. He's a very good passer. I love bigs that can pass the ball out of the short roll, making lob passes, skipping the ball to the corner, all that stuff. Problem is he's a good rebounder, but he's not a great defender in terms of moving his feet. He's probably going to have to be strictly a drop big when you talk about what type of defense you have to play around him. And he doesn't have much of an isolation game scoring-wise. He's got some moves in the paint, but he's not the type of guy you're going to throw the ball in the paint and just, watch him kill people in the paint. That being said, I am literally begging for the Sixers to finally, whether it be through Vasar or a big in the draft, or even like Jock Landale in free agency, pair Tyrese Maxey with a big that can actually shoot from three. They run this pick and roll action, the two-man game with Tyrese and Joel Embiid, but Joel Embiid isn't a good three-point shooter anymore. Not only that is he doesn't have the athleticism to pump fake and drive to the basket like some of these guys can. So that's another thing. Another guy that I like, but I don't think is realistic, and I'm a little bit hesitant on him, is Joshua Jefferson from Illinois. He's probably the best big man passer in the draft. I just worry about his athleticism, his shot. He shot 34% from three, and I'm kind of thinking, what if he's just like another Trendon Watford? That's kind of what I worry about. And I worry about that with Graves as well, too. It's just, what if these guys who don't have athleticism and don't have these great isolation skills in the post just turn out to be like Trendon Watford? We have Trendon Watford. We don't need that. But those are the guys that I would really like and then be okay with taking a chance on. Now, let me talk about the two guys that I absolutely do not want under any circumstances. And the first is Koa Pete, the forward from Arizona. Koa Pete is like if Aaron Gordon was less athletic and also was an absolutely terrible shooter. Now, granted, Aaron Gordon wasn't a good shooter coming out of college, but Koa Pete's three-point shot is abysmal. I believe he shot, I don't know if this, I think he shot a very few attempts this year. His form is terrible. His form got even worse in workouts. His guide hand is completely misplaced on the ball. And I'm just at the point where, not even in the NBA, but Sixers specifically, stop giving me players that can't shoot. Let's look at our big man from the past year. Andre Drummond, he made threes. He can't shoot. Jabari Walker, he made threes, but he can't really shoot. Adem Bona can't shoot at all. It's like, let's get some front court pieces that can actually shoot the ball or put the ball on the floor, so we're not pairing Tyrese Maxey with all these non-offensive threats, and pair him with some people that can actually do something with the ball. And that's why I believe his numbers suffer a little bit when he's playing with 2 or 3 non-shooters at a time. Obviously, I know that's what's happening. So that's the one guy I don't want. I'm done with players that can't shoot and really have no hope of improving their jump shot. And the other player I just do not want is Chris Sinak Jr., and he's a player out of Houston. He's a big man. The appeal with him is that he's an insane athlete. He finishes over 50% of his shots at the rim. He's 7 foot. He's got a 7'5" wingspan, and all that's great, except he's not a good basketball player. On defense, he plays soft. He's not willing to make contact with the offensive player. Same thing goes for offense. He doesn't really have a go-to move on offense. He shoots a lot of jump shots. He's not a terrible shooter, but you would like to see more with that athleticism. Why is he settling for so many jump shots? He's a great rebounder. That's the one thing I will say, but he's just the guy that screams great athlete, but not great basketball player. And again, you can see from talking that I want to go away from these guys that are great athletes. We have that on the team, and Kelly Oubre. I want guys that are smart basketball players. We have Tyrese Maxey, who I've said before, individual playmaking is overrated, but you do need some playmaking on your team. You do need some connective passers. When you swing the ball to a guy, you need a guy to be able to make a quick decision or even break down the defense and create an advantage. So that's why I'm just against these guys that can't pass and they're just strictly being taken for their athleticism and they can't shoot yet. And it's okay, that's not appealing to me. So the guys I mentioned previously that I want are those guys that fit the mold of whether they're athletes and they can shoot and create, or they might not be the most athletic, but they can shoot and they can pass the ball, and that's what's appealing to them. And I just don't see it with Koa Pete. I think when you think to yourself, this is the exercise I'm doing, is this guy going to be left wide open from three in a playoff game? Even if he has the best, most real, like, even if realistically he has a great rookie season, is he going to be left wide open from three in a playoff game? Like, look at Josh Hart. Josh Hart is one of the best role players in the NBA. He was almost unplayable at times because he was left open from three. And Josh Hart is a way better three-point shooter than Koa Pete. And then Chris Sinakis, who I think, I think Koa Pete could be a decent NBA player. I just think his flaws are, like, too damaging. Chris Sinak, I just think is going to be a total project. I think he's going to spend most of the year in the G League. I just think he does nothing well other than rebounding, and he's a player that gets taken for his measurables and not his actual skill. It's like Bull. So that's my opinion on him. And look, I could be wrong, but this is just through the draft process, listening to people whose opinion I respect, watching tape of my own, looking at breakdowns. Those are the opinions that I've formed for the Sixers. And who knows? Maybe they take someone tomorrow that I didn't even talk about. There's a few other guys I like, but I wanted to keep the video relatively short. And it'll be fun to come back to this in 6 months, a year, and 2 years, whatever, and see if I'm wrong. But those are the guys I like. It would be a dream if Cameron Carr, Dalen Swain fell to them. I also, if the Sixers don't trade up for a guy that they really like, I would like them to take somebody and then use one of the many second-round picks that they have to try and acquire another first-round pick, even if it's like in the 25 to 27 range. Because I think in that range, you can still take a guy like Vasar or Joshua Jefferson. And if you take those guys in addition to somebody else that, what the Sixers front office has ranked a little higher, I think that would be a good trade. We have a bunch of second-round picks. We got even more in the Jared McCain trade. Aaron Wiggins, who would have been a good addition to the Sixers, but put him over the first apron, he went for 2 second-round picks yesterday to the Atlanta Hawks. So let's use these second-round picks and try and acquire some young talent. But that's what I think about this draft. It'll be interesting to follow. I'll give my thoughts on, what happens after tomorrow night and leading into Summer League. But that's who I want and don't want. So let me know what you guys think. Give me a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I will see you next time.